Transitioning to Stage Aubergine, I found that the stage of Aubergine is taking the psychic awareness of teal and how they have relationships and how they predict people's speech, intuitively pick up what they're thinking, asking what they're thinking in their mind as a way to understand people without even trying to. There's just a much deeper way of going about things, with an intelligence about intention being very complex, going all the way to the unconscious mind. So all that stuff is stage teal. And in stage Aubergine, what I find is they then say, wait a minute, you're thinking what other people think, so you're trying to like figure them out so that you can know how to navigate through them, so they don't want to accuse you, or so that you can get along, or so they can be like you, or you can be like them, right? Very chameleon-like in that regard. But there is this conformity obsession that they're not even aware of, stage teal. So as you enter stage Aubergine, what you kind of accept about the world is that everyone is different and you don't have to change. So this has an allusion to stage yellow from green, and even to stage orange from blue, where orange says you don't have to have a conformity. There could be something better out there with focusing on your livelihood. You don't have to make everything absolutistic, right? So the absolutism of teal, I would say, is more passive. You're absolutistic or obsessed with conformity without realizing it, because you don't think that a stage blue person is going to be like, oh, I'm so happy you're calling me absolutistic. I love that phraseology of me. No, of course no one wants to be closed-minded, especially in this generation. So too, with stage teal, they're not going to want to be called, or I wouldn't want to be called, a radical conformist. But what's going to happen is stage teal is going to say, I didn't realize that's why I thought so much. That's why I tried to predict people's behavior, and I allowed a multi-dimensional take on what their opinions are, so that I can quickly adopt who they are or adjust myself accordingly to get along with my surroundings. That way of being will be seen in retrospect. Now, in stage Aubergine, they realize that I don't have to conform to other people's standards. I don't need to predict what they're thinking, because if they disagreed with me, that's great. If you disagree with me, that means there's another person in the universe, on the planet, that's going to have a sharpened brain because of me. Because of me existing, they're now going to have a sharpened brain. So I don't actually need to do anything to change you. I appreciate the fact that someone different than me is interacting with you. So it's the awareness of Coral's correcting system, right? And Teal's awareness of the self-correcting mind. But it's even higher that not only do I have faith that things are going to fall into place properly, but that the argumentation and the potential for things not to fall into harmony is positive. That's a great thing. If things didn't work out well, that means that eclectivity is on display here. That means that diversity is present. And when I say diversity, don't think diversity of green. The stage Aubergine gets such a pleasure that you have this stage red person interacting with a stage teal person, or a stage green person, or even anyone. Just the fact that two different colors or two different types of people or personalities are interacting, it resonates as positive for no reason at all, other than the fact that there's an awareness of the equality. And with stage teal, the awareness of the equality, right? I'm using stage green words, little fly. The awareness of the equality in stage teal, it was not even thought about. It was just, I want to navigate in such a way that we all are as similar as possible. So we're all kind of like You know how those beads, work in a particular rhythm? Because there's, even when they're thrown at different ends, eventually they'll go back to that rhythm of like this one goes there, this one goes there. So Stage Teal kind of wants things to work with like a clockwork type of way. And I think that's why they might be kind of, I'm using this word, developing some kind of autistic way of thinking a bit. They view people mechanically. Stage Coral does as well. But the reason why this exists is because clockwork is how they think. They start to think in that way. But in Stage Aubergine, I think they evolve out of that clockwork. They may start to see the nuances more again. And so when you enter into this ultraviolet in spiral dynamics integral, you will start to appreciate just random ideas getting thrown out there to different people. When you see someone grow, that's a great pleasure of Stage Aubergine. When you see someone interacting with someone very different than you, that'll all of a sudden mean something positive to you. Because I've said this again and again, and this is the way I understand it. The upper stages are connecting the brain wires, right? So if the neural connections are diverse, like when you're on all types of psychedelics, that's the pleasure of this stage. It's, wow, we're high, we're doing well. Just the fact that we're all interconnected. And I've heard opinions that say they're going to be very logical. There's a hint to logic. There's a hint to breaking out of conformity and therefore allowing things to be designated in specific categories. But I think you're projecting an orange lens onto the stage. I don't think it really applies that much. There was a direction I was going to take it. So it's just an appreciation of this is not the stage, this is part of the stage, that it's going to be an appreciation of all the differences that take place, because then the wires are going to be connected. Oh, they love being high. So when I say they love being high, it doesn't mean they love being irrational. They love that the wires of mankind are getting interconnected. That's it. Which is counterintuitive if you want to look at it from the stage perspective, because if it's supposed to be parallel to Stage Orange, and they're very against drugs because it goes against the logical mind, that's where the irony exists. It's they want things to be completely out of the ordinary. They want the counterintuitive to exist. It's like in Stage Green, when you want radical difference as a way to counteract the closed-mindedness of Orange. So this is like just radical difference, but for the sake of connecting the wires of the globe, of the global mind, of course. So the global mind doesn't disappear, but it manifests in a different way. And also, once you pass Stage Turquoise, you realize it's not just a global mind, it's a global network of minds, such that psychic awareness is present. There's a deeper thing inside of us that guides our bodies and being to be, to do the actions we do. And as such, this later stage is taking all that awareness with it. So you're thinking much more psychically, even if you don't realize it, or you don't think it, you're not paying attention to it. Like, everything I'm saying is factoring in what other people would think, because that's part of Stage Teal, of course. But more than that, I'm picking up, and I've been doing this in Stage Coral, so it's a skill that you begin in Stage Coral, and you can tap into it from other stages as well, of course. But this skill to kind of know what people are going to think is because we have a collective mind. But now in Stage Aubergine, as you transition, it's going to be an appreciation of the differences, such that there is no goal to get to except to have difference. So you went from conformity to difference, and difference is the goal. Just the fact that you're different than other people, and people are different, and they're still together on this planet, is a joy. It's an appreciation of the stage. So that covers a transition to Stage Aubergine. The question of what Stage Clear will do in response to this is still up for, I'm still thinking about it because I have to go through it. But right now, as I'm entering into Stage Aubergine, it's probably around 20% in Aubergine, ultraviolet. That the knowledge of this state of Aubergine will be more felt, and Stage Clear will be all felt. Just to throw it out there, because I do have a friend who, has a slightly different approach. He thinks that non-duality will be very relevant for Stage Aubergine, and I want to say that non-duality has some overlap, but it's not the entire thing. Spiral dynamics is also pinpointing a biological truth in addition to the psychological and the esoteric and the psychic phenomenon. But biology is very important. So if you say there's no self and, there is no one, you're dismissing the biological truths. And so you're kind of like fixated on a turquoise realization. So we want to be careful with that. So that's my understanding of his approach. So he would say that Stage Aubergine is, there is no one in the camera. This is who I am, and just has a really thorough understanding that there is no one and God is speaking and stuff like that. So I see that as you have the potential to be in teal, but it's really coming from a turquoise way of thinking. So that's my approach. And there is always the possibility that that Stage Clear will usher in what my friends are considering as Stage Turquoise and even Aubergine. But I don't see it that way, because I think they're forgetting the biology has a certain pattern among societies, and so they're, the way we think and the way our value structures form as a result of the biological evolution, which overlaps with psychological evolution, and therefore that's my position. Have a good day.